Good evening, everybody. We start here tonight with this live look at Niagara Falls from EarthCam. We take it for granted, but millions of people come to our region every year to visit this natural wonder. The numbers are really impressive. If we look back to 2023, visitors to Niagara County spent more than $1 billion. It was the first time that ever happened, and it was up 12% compared to the year before. And if you just look at Niagara Falls State Park, it gets 8 million visitors each and every year. Many of them are from foreign countries, and that's why this is so troubling. New numbers from the federal government show far fewer people are visiting this country. Overall, last month, we saw an 11% decline in overseas arrivals by plane compared to March of last year. That translates into nearly 300,000 fewer people visiting America. The most significant drops were in the Caribbean and Western Europe. Now, we'll highlight a few countries in particular. 35% fewer visitors from Iceland came to America in March, almost as big a decline from the Danish. 28% fewer Germans visited this country. The Irish cut back by 27%, and we saw visits from Switzerland cut by a quarter. John Percy is president and CEO of Destination Niagara USA, and he joins me live tonight. And John, as I said earlier, we want to talk to you because the biggest tourist attraction here is, of course, Niagara Falls. And I'm wondering, I know that these are the March numbers and this is sort of a new dynamic at play, but how worried are you about fewer international visitors?
Well, I think the numbers that you showed, and I saw some numbers earlier from a call that I was on with Tourism Economics. They're a large research firm in our country based out of Philadelphia that does a lot of research both domestically and international. The numbers are alarming, of course. We don't want to see declines. We saw, of course, huge declines during the pandemic, and we've bounced back from that significantly, and was returning to pre-pandemic levels of inbound international, especially in late 25, early 26. That projection, unfortunately, has been pushed out to 2029. But we still continue to keep our finger on the pulse and working with tour operators worldwide. We want to stay front and center with the markets that we are engaged in. Those that remain in the market and stay strong in the market will come out stronger as well once this passes.
John, a lot of the visitors to Niagara Falls in particular come from Asian countries. As I was looking through the numbers today, through the Excel spreadsheet, trying to make sense of all of it, visits from places like China, Korea, Japan, they were not off quite as much. But then I read something that a lot of that has to do with those trips because they're so much farther away. They're booked more in advance and maybe they haven't, sort of factored in all the changes we're experiencing. How does that sort of play in your mind as you're processing all this?
And that is correct. I think it's still so early to tell. Early numbers are never a good indication of what we will see long term. However, the Asian markets have booked. The Asian markets are certain markets that are less impressed or less involved with the political scope and nature that we're all dealing with. And so there's markets like India and Brazil that still have the aspiration to travel and a high aspiration to travel to the U.S. and are not fazed by the political, nature that we find ourselves in today. And so we will be pivoting and working. India is very strong for us, always has been. It's number 2 now inbound into the U.S. It has moved from like number 18 to number 2 in the last few years coming out of the pandemic, just behind the UK. In fact, they pushed Germany and other countries aside, and France and Italy. India is number 2. And so India has been very strong for us. In fact, it's our number 1 inbound overseas market. And so we put a heavy concentration on India. We are entering the Brazil market and the Colombian market. Both of those are showing great prospects as we move forward. So I think we just, again, have to keep our finger on the pulse Stay vigilant, stay strong in the market, stay front facing with our tour operators, with our advertising programs. We even have an advertising program in UK and Germany that we received from a post-pandemic grant from New York State and the federal government. We've never done consumer advertising, and that response has been very strong. So is this, you know, this disregard for the politics and everything else, will it remain in the call that I was on today? Will that remain consistent as we go into the remainder of the year, or will people get tired of that and still want to travel? There's a number of factors that we, again, will have to watch daily almost, if not monthly, moving forward.
Yeah, time will tell. We'll stay on top of it. We'll keep in touch. John Percy, President and CEO of Destination Niagara USA. Thanks, John.
Thanks, Michael.